Alrighty, quick review of Pocket Rocket V2. I think this has got to be one of the most anticipated releases of the year. Everyone who's been riding V1s and loved them is obviously hanging to find out what this is like, and I've just had the first session on it so I can share a few thoughts. V1 was awesome. Obviously, performance-wise, it was the best of the first bunch of V1s that came out, and even now I think it's still pretty relevant. It's still got same as or better performance than some of the more recent releases that have come out from other brands. So they really nailed it with the V1. Common complaints of V1 was obviously the line length. It was quite long, so it was hard to manage on collapses, and also the material that they used was very soft, so it could knot itself fairly easily. Now, a lot of us shortened those lines down, and that worked fine. But I think a lot of us went back to long lines and actually figured out a way to do it in a systematic packing manner so that you didn't get those tangles, and that was fine as well. So come the power packs, they changed the line material. So what's really nice about these lines is obviously lack of knots. So the way that these are spliced is really, really nice. And with the power packs, they found a new material that doesn't really bend. I mean, you can basically just hold it out like that, and you can see like the radius of the bending is next to nothing. So that was really, really good. And I guess something I found on the power packs is that the back lines are still the original same soft material, and that does still knot from time to time. So with the V2, they've actually gone with the same stiff material on the back as well. The only thing with this material is that it doesn't compact down as well. So when you fold up your power wing, because it's a little bit stiffer, I think it's still more compact to use the softer material, and they have used the softer material on the middle lines because they've got basically more cascades in them, so they're less likely to tangle because they're just not quite so long. So what's new on the V2 Pocket Rocket is they've used the same bow bridle system that they used in the power pack. This is really, really neat. The bar works super well. I think the horns are something that everyone should be using because it means that you just don't have the lines ever touching your hands, and it stops from getting tangled around. I've found other brands of power wing that have the bow bridle. If the bar just goes straight and it's just a line coming out of here, it flips over the end really easily and gets tangled. These don't, it can't actually get over the end by itself. So that's a really, really good feature. This is a 5 meter, and this is like the line length from the 5 meter. So it's basically under an arm span, so it's a lot shorter than what the V1s were, which is really nice. They, just like the power pack, have separated out the center lines. So when you pull the center lines in, it means you get a really nice concertina. All that stuff comes together there, which makes packing down really easy because basically you just pull it in like that, cinch up that lot, grab the outside. This is the way I do it, is just put my bar there like that, grab the other side, and then you've got a really nice neat package that you can just wrap up like that, and you can see exactly what you're grabbing for each time. So when you go for your release, boom, it's just straight back out there again. I guess the main thing that everyone's going to picked up on is the V-ribs that these have now. So in the paragliding world, V-ribs were one of the major performance breakthroughs. Paragliders have a lot of lines. The distance is about 7 to 9 meters between the pilot and the canopy. And it used to be the case that every single cell would have a line coming off it. So if you think about how much drag that's going to create, a paraglider typically has, 80, 90 cells. So when you've got 80 or 90 cells and each one's got a line coming off it, that's a huge amount of drag. So what V-ribs did is it basically enables you to have a single attachment point that then covers multiple ribs. So this jumps across to here, to this rib here. So you don't need to have a pickup in the middle here. You don't need to have a pickup over here. You've just got one pickup in the middle, okay? In power wings, I don't think the drag is really going to be an issue because obviously we don't have that same length of lines, but it does also make a much more stable profile by having that V shape because it's basically triangles that head out. And obviously it didn't, it wasn't a major concern of Ozone's, the drag reduction, because they've gone for having a line on every single cell on the front there. So that's obviously not the driving factor. I guess the driving factor is the stability that this provides. And having just been out on the water, I can tell you right now, the stability that the front part of the wing has is unreal. Like, even when it's like getting unloaded, it just kind of all just stays out open in the airflow, which is something quite different. So, yeah, that's probably the biggest difference people are going to notice, really, is the V-ribs. Looking at the structure itself, it's similar stiffening rods to what they've used in the original pocket rockets, but in the power pack they used a much stiffer material for the actual rods themselves. So that was one of the complaints with original pocket rockets, was that these started deforming a little bit over time, and you actually got like a funny little kink when you're super overpowered on the original V1s. With the power packs, that was completely gone. So even being ridiculously overpowered, you never got any deviation in the front here. I mean, you can see I can't bend that at all, basically, from the front. So these are obviously the same rods now that they've used here in the new pocket rockets, because it does feel a lot stiffer. It does feel like, you know, there's just no way you're going to deflect that there. So that's going to help hold the shape a lot better. On the bow bar, we have A, B, C's and D's. So the D's are the back lines now. And as I said, the back lines are that really stiff material. You can see the way it's like, you know, there's just not much radius there compared to that. Like if you just hold that out, that just falls straight down. If you hold the black lines out, they don't fall down. They're quite stiff. Other than that, all the typical stuff, like just lots of hemming, lots of reinforcements. Like everything's got little reinforcement tabs on it, as we expect. Different also from the V1 is that on the outside, everything's fully hemmed in now. That wasn't the case on the V1, so some of them started wearing out a little bit there. But yeah, overall, it looks fantastic in terms of like the construction of it. And let's talk about the riding. So unfortunately, I hit one of the settings on the camera which caused the settings to be completely overexposed, so all the colours and everything are washed out, but I didn't want to go back and record again because I just wanted to kind of record my thoughts from the very first session, very first time I used this. The wind is really light. It's kind of a thermic day, so there's thermals coming across the water. It's like 10 knots right now, and you'll hear my reaction to getting up for the first time. Holy shit. Wow. So what surprised me so much was there was barely any tension in the canopy at all. I did not think I was going to get started in that. I was yanking it like crazy to try and get a little bit of power. And amazingly, it wasn't collapsing. It was just kind of sitting there almost like a wing does. And I was able to pump myself up into foil, which was absolutely mind-blowing. So yeah, that's the very first reaction. So this is the first jibe. Wind is really, really light, so I use one of the brake lines to tweak it and spin it around, and sure enough, it comes around right on the spot. That's pretty good maneuverability for a 5 meter. I've got other similar sized wing which would not have made that jibe. Absolutely no chance. So that's pretty cool, pretty happy with all that. I think the stability speaks for itself. Pretty amazing. And then I just start realizing the agility of this thing is crazy, like absolutely amazing. Wind is so light at times, I'm basically having to like just pump my way through jibes and stuff, but it still does it. Oh yes, wow. God. Outrageous. outrageous. Here's another really light wind start. I'm going to say this is like 10 knots. Later on, there was more big gusts came through and it got quite strong, but for most of the session it was like crazy light. I couldn't believe this thing was still going. So finally found some stronger gusts, and once it started getting lit up, this thing really started performing like jibes. Wing just spins on the spot, really reaches forward into the front of the wind window. Couldn't get an idea of angles because I'm actually in a really strong current area. It's probably like 3 or 4 knots of current. So no point looking at angles, but it definitely feels like it's pulling up wind really hard. So it'll be interesting to see what the figures are when they start coming out from various riders. So there weren't really any bumps to ride on, but I did have a few goes at just pulling the wing in just to see how it all comes together and how it stashes down and redeploys, and that all seems really smooth. And then finally, to finish the session off, I just kind of cruised downwind and did a heap of jibes with the canopy pretty unloaded, not too much pressure in it, just to see how it kind of feels. And yeah, it kind of reminds me of like the really good kites, the wave riding kites that just kind of like float and just kind of maintain a little bit of line tension despite not having any power in them. Yeah, this thing is really amazing. Like it just kind of just stays, keeps its shape, and just turns on the spot when you need it to. So super impressed. Thank you so much, Ozone. This thing is going to be pretty successful, I think. And I wasn't going to sell my V143 because I actually really like it, and I thought, yeah, I doubt the new wings. I knew they were going to be better, but I can't really see the performance getting that much better. But after my first session on a 5 meter, I think the 4.3 is getting replaced for sure. So thanks for watching. Looking forward to seeing everyone else's reviews, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the consensus feedback on this wing is over the coming weeks. But for anyone that's ordered this thing already, you're going to be happy. I guarantee you. Enjoy. Bye.